How y'all doing this afternoon? How y'all doing tonight? How y'all doing this morning? Wherever you are when you hear this message. And I'm gonna just jump right in, man. I ain't really gonna, cause I don't know when people gonna listen to this. It might be, you know, I don't see nobody live right now with me, so but I'm gonna just jump right in. Today's question is, and I get a lot, should I pick my children's friends? And I get it from a lot of single mothers because most situations men understand how important it is, but these days, not even really men understand. And if it is a situation where it's a two-parent household, most of the time, especially with today's economy, both parents are working and the children are pretty much left to themselves. Not in all situations, but in most situations. And if we got good parents, our parents teach us right from wrong, and as we grow up in society, we understand right from wrong, not only from our parents' standard and perspective, but we understand right and wrong in the world perspective. Like you can't do crime or certain things. So we understand right from wrong, right? And you may feel that, oh, my child is a leader. I taught my child not to be a follower, and so on and so forth. That happened to me. My daddy knew I was a leader, and he came back. My daddy came as we was all adults, and we had conversations, and he told me, he came out and told me, he said, if I would have knew what I knew now, um, I would have never let you hang out with certain type of people. I'm not gonna begin naming people, but there's certain friends that I came up with that I had no business hanging out with. Wasn't that I was better than them, or wasn't that was I wasn't better than them in no form or fashion. But you gotta align your life with people who on your level and higher than you. That's what you have to do. And when I'm talking about spiritually. And as a youngster, or if you're a parent, for example, give you an example. If you then did what you had to do, you and your husband, and y'all staying in a suburban neighborhood, right? No disrespect, but it's no reason for your children to be hanging with children that's in Section 8 single parent households. That's never good. I've seen, I'm 34, and I know a lot of people that seen how that can end up turning bad. We know all the stories. I know back then it'd be some situations where the suburban kid hanging with the Section 8 kid, and the Section 8 kid in a single parent household, mama gotta work doubles and all this and all that. And whenever they want to do something wrong, they just say, hey, even the girls, hey, let me go to so and so house for the weekend. And they know that when they go to so and so house, that the mama ain't gonna be there for 16 hours because she working a double. So they can have all the little boys or little girls in the house that they want to have. Whereas at that one that's staying in the suburban, mama and daddy, mama a housewife, and daddy is coming home every day after work. And this is a two-parent household, and ain't anything gonna be going on over here because first of all, mama is always around, and if something going on that mama ain't really sure about, she bring it to the father, and the father is about structure. That's why the father is so important. The mother is important, but the father is very important because he brings structure. And when I touched a little bit about this on I think one of my first episode, maybe it was my second episode or my first episode of the show, and I spoke about parenting. So a lot of things I said in that video might resurface in this episode. But I'm gonna drive this home to the best of my knowledge so I can show y'all the answer to the video is yes, you should pick your children until they 18. Now if they still are staying at home at 18, that's fine. But at 18, you have put everything into their head that they need to know in life, in the world, religion, everything. And so no matter which situation that they go through, your voice should be the loudest voice. And see, these days, that's one of the main problems. And that's that the social media, news media, the rappers, the entertainers, their voice are more the friends. They are more. Their voices are more louder in your children's head than you, because a lot of times today is so much work going on and the children being left to their own devices. And the scriptures tell you that a child left to himself will bring you to open shame, right? And I remember I was watching, and sometimes I watch these movies that I watched that when I was younger, and now that you watch them when you older, you have a clear like you see something different because now you're an adult, so you understand things better. And they got a movie named Class Act, and it came out, I believe, in the early '90s, and it had the rappers Kid and Play in the movie, right? And Kid and Play, okay, Play came up in the hood, troubled youth. He in the hood selling drugs, had his own he had a nice truck, I guess, from selling drugs. And his mom was a single mother, and he was in and out of juvenile, just a complete mess. And Play, he was, oh wait, I might have him mixed up, because I get him mixed up. The dark skinned one on Kid and Play. And I think that's Kid. I think Play was the bright one. But Play, the bright one, he come up on the suburban side, right? And of course, he got a 2-parent household. He got good grades in school, just a model kid. Got about to go to a great college. His whole life playing for him, because he come up in a constructive 2-parent household, right? So they end up going to this. They end up somehow going to the same school, and it's a mix up with the paperwork. And Play gets Kid record, and Kid gets Play record. And so Play, the suburban, come up in a 2-parent home. Kid, he goes and he's all in these disciplinary classes around all these bad kids. And Kid, he ended up going around all the smart students, the extracurriculum students, the magnet students, the super smart students. In Louisiana, they call them Spark, like they just a highly educated children. He in that class, and they both out of position. But what happens is this leads them to end up running with each other and being friends with each other. If you watch the movie, which was a great movie, um, but like I say, once I got older, I watched it again, and it just hit home, because it's like, you know, and he would come to play. Kid would come to play his house, and his mom would look at him all crazy, and they was like, they knew this wasn't right, you know what I'm saying? But they kind of wanted to be cool parents and just let it fly. But they knew this wasn't right, because Play had him a little nice little haircut, but he, as soon as he started hanging with Kid, he ended up putting the gold teeth in his mouth, dreadlock in the top of his hair, dressing all street, and Kid completely turned the suburban kid out. And like I said, you watch the movie, which is a great movie. All throughout this movie, Play is constantly in all kind of situations, because he ended up hanging with Kid, which was a kid who come from a troubled 1-parent home in the hood. You know what I'm saying? And it was just a mess. They would end up getting in shootouts. It just was a complete mess. And I look at that movie and I say to myself, as a parent, which is, like I say, this is a movie. I'm just breaking it down and analyzing it. But I look at the movie and I'm saying to myself, Play mom and daddy should have automatically seen all the red signs with this dude. All the red flag with this young man, and say, hey, no, you're not hanging with that guy. You know what I'm saying? And once Play would have told him, well, I got this was a mix up at school, woo. As a parent, they should have went to school, got there, taken care of, and got everything right. But just letting their son hang with Kid almost got his life took. This dude, I'm talking about, literally was in shootouts, right? All kind of stuff was going on, all because he began hanging with the wrong crowd. And they could have avoided this, because as an adult, as a parent, they seen the red flags. His whole persona began to change when he hung with this young man. And even the scriptures say, bad company corrupt good manners, right? And today we look at stuff and we call it energy. That's how people of the world see it. But us Christians understand that it's spiritual. Everything is spiritual, right? And that's why I always tell people, Tell me who, show me your friends, and I'll tell you who you are, right? Whether you a leader or a follower, it does not matter. If you hanging, if you a married woman, a good, wholesome woman, married, got a family and kids, and all your friends is city girls, it's going to eventually come a time where you get forced into a city girl position. Even if, listen, you might be, might have been plenty of time when you had the opportunity to maybe cheat because it was an extra dude. But eventually, if you consistently hang with these people that's not like you spiritually, they gonna overpower your spirit, and your spirit gonna join with theirs, and you gonna end up doing what they do, even if it's for a night. And that one night can ruin your whole marriage. I'm showing you something, right? Adult of children. I'm going somewhere with this. I just wanted to say that as you know, I wanted to put that out there. Just say it doesn't matter if you're a good guy. I've seen dudes working at the plant making good money, $100,000 a year, making good money, and they able to live like the drug dealers making that kind of money a year. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the drug dealers might be making more in some situations, but this young brother was able to travel, buy whatever kind of car he wanted. But his uncle and a whole bunch, all his partners was trappers, and they was like the big time trappers. And they would go on trips together. And I used to see this, and I didn't jank him. I'm not gonna say I jank, but I used to see this. And I used to say to myself, if he not really super strong minded, he gonna end up getting sucked into the vacuum, and show is the sunshine. Before you know it, next thing you know, he wasn't working no more, but he still was living that same lifestyle. And I knew it was going on, and not so long they had a federal raid, and he ended up getting caught on the raid. He hadn't even been really doing that for probably a year, maybe it was a year, because the energy around him. Once again, like the Bible say, bad company corrupt good manners, bro. The people you around and they spiritual energy will rub off on you, good or bad. It's the same way if you hanging out with some good Christian church men or women, and you struggling with sin. If you consistently hang with them, they spirit is going to eventually encapsulate your spirit. Next thing you know, you going to be trying to get on their level or surpass them or be on the same level with them spiritually. You'll be a Christian. You'll be to clean yourself up, right? And so this is why parents should pick their children. Because don't get it twisted, because a lot of us, especially if you in my age, you in your 30s, a lot of our parents, once again, like I said in my parenting video, they was good people, but they wasn't good parents. And the reason why they wasn't good parents is because they used the business model that they was raised with and try to raise it with us. And our generation was way different. We was getting introduced to rap music in my generation. We got introduced to, a lot of the internet. We got introduced to a lot of stuff. Now the internet, of course, wasn't what it is today. We didn't have smartphones and all that, but we was in the beginning stage of the internet. We had rap music, all this come up in my generation. And so our families, and especially speaking in the Black community, they didn't understand that, they come up in a baby boomer area where it was really simple. Go to school. It wasn't that much going on in the streets. People, it wasn't a lot of killing in the Black community. It wasn't that much going on. And it was really simple times back then. The women got groomed to be wives. They was taught how to cook, clean at a young age, and there was a lot of them most of the time in the house. 8, 9 kids in the house. So mama would be working, daddy would be working. The daughters was groomed to be wives, so they begin to start cooking, cleaning at young ages, 10, 9, 11, 12, 13. The men was, they would work. The young boys, they would work, cut yards and hunt fish and, do things. They was taught back then to, basically survive, right? We just trying to get y'all up in age, old enough to where y'all could do y'all own thing and potentially move out. And so a lot of our parents use that same business model, but you can't use the same business model for a different organization. This is a whole different generation. And the same thing for us that's raising children. Us that's in our 30s and 40s that's raising children today, we can't raise our children on the business model that we raised. Because why? We didn't have social media. We didn't have these rappers. Like rappers was you had back then. You had different kind of rap. You had in the '90s. It was pretty much more R&B driven. Now you had some rap. You had NWA. You had a few gangster rappers, the West Coast dudes. You know what I'm saying? New York really was about bars, and I don't really know about too many Chicago dudes. I mean, I know they had Twister. Twister wasn't really rapping about no real kill murder type, but these days everybody rapping about murder, murder, bang, bang. All the female, you only had Lil Kim, Foxy Brown, a few female back then, but now you got multiple female rappers all basically rapping about prostitution, telling your children to do wrong thing that's not right with their bodies to get money. Girl, F a man, and all it just everything coming from rap music is negative. So you got to even protect your children from that because you see the little young girls on Instagram, and these little girls 15 to 16 years old, and they twerking and they just out of control. And what you see when you see them is little rappers. What these female rappers is rapping about, you see them enacting the raps. And same thing for the men with the boy rappers. And so you have even the homosexual thing that's going on. They back then when we was coming up, um and like I say, when I was in high school, they may have had one or two gay dudes. I don't remember no gay female, but they might have had one or two gay dudes. And those dudes were treated bad. And I'm not justifying it because that was wrong. I didn't treat nobody bad, but I'm saying they were treated bad. They were beat up. They were picked at. Life was a living hell. And the world wasn't all the way embracing that lifestyle. It was coming, but it had all the way. It was like the door was being beat on and it was cracking, but the door hadn't been broken yet with that LGBT homosexuality. So it still was like a taboo to be gay, but now it's so big now. Started with, of course, it started with the Obama area because when he passed the homosexual marriage thing, that gave them a right to feel like they're normal, which is homosexuality is not normal, right? If it was normal, you would be able to reproduce, right? If homosexual was normal and God didn't have a problem with it, he would make it the way two men can produce and two women can produce, but that cannot happen. Only a man and a woman can reproduce and make another human, and so therefore we know that homosexuality is not normal, right? That's another story for another video. And so now it's so normal. Once that happened with Obama, he normalized it, and they took it from there. Now they putting it in everything for children. And see, this my thing. Like me, I have homosexual friends. I have transgender friends, and I don't have an issue with them. They know where I stand spiritual. They know I'm a Christian, and they know as a Christian I'm against that lifestyle, but I'm not against the person. I love the person. I hate the sin, like God. But I'm not cool with a homosexual or trans. I can't be cool with a homosexual or a transgender who trying to make it like this is a normal lifestyle and they trying to push that towards or push that and force that on other people like it's a normal lifestyle. The transgender homosexual friend that I have are just transgender homosexual people who know they fighting a demon and they just want to be left alone and live they whatever lifestyle. But when you start trying to force on our children, having transgender parties at schools and putting it in the cartoons and this is horrible. This is bad. And this is why at this point this is out of control. You go to high school now, it's out of control with homosexual men, homosexual women, and it wasn't like that back then. But it's because it's being groomed into them. And when you have a child in his formative years which is up until 10 years old, the thing that he's taught, he believed those things, and a parent can teach him whatever he wants. The parents can teach him or her whatever they want. Culture, mainstream media, social media, friends, teachers, they're going to be teaching you something that's probably 9 times out of 10 gonna go against what your parents teaching you, especially if you got conservative parents, right? And so as a parent, you have to make sure at all times you monitoring your children's devices. You monitoring everything. I'm talking about Xbox, PlayStation 4 or 5, phone, tablet, everything, checking history, YouTube to see what they're watching, see what they're looking at. When they get from school, you need to be asking what are they being taught? Because you need to make sure your children don't get indoctrinated, because once your children get indoctrinated, they'll come against you. I was watching a young lady speak at her father's funeral, right? She was a mixed girl, black and white. Her father was white, conservative man who was a Trump supporter, and she have been so indoctrinated. And you can probably go check it out on YouTube. I don't really know how to find it, but I've seen it. And this young lady have been so indoctrinated that Trump is a racist, right? That because her daddy was white and voted for Trump, this little girl went at the man's funeral and said how he's a racist bigot. He supported, just talked about her daddy like a dog at his funeral. Because guess what? She had been that indoctrinated the way to the point that she went against her own father at his funeral. And this is what's going on today. People are, children are being in these universities are doing the same thing. And I know I kind of got way off the subject of what I'm saying, but I'm about to go back. I'm going somewhere. And so my father told me, he said, man, if I could go back and, change things, I would have never let you hang with certain people. I come up in a two-parent home. My daddy was a businessman. He was a preacher, and he was a civil rights activist. So he was on the road a lot. But when he was home, he always took care of his family. When he was home, he would take us all over the United States, Disney World here, LA. He took us all over the United States. Um, and I always pretty much stayed in the hood because my daddy was, and that's one thing I always say my daddy made a mistake on, and he understood that, he should have had us in better areas because children are, they're going to make friends with who around, right? But that's another story, and I spoke about that in my first episode. Check that out about parenting. And so, we was doing all these things, and so just naturally, I shouldn't have been hanging around certain people. He should have had us hanging around other children who had two-parent home. All of my friends come from single-parent households, and that just type of situation. So I began hanging with certain dudes, and I always was a leader. But my thing was, I always felt like sometimes I did feel this sometime, and I'm gonna lie, because I came up a little bit better than my friend. I would feel like sometimes that I had to be over gangster to prove, not subconscious, not saying it, but like I would do over, like just to prove like I'm down, like what I'm saying. And that's another bad thing. You know what I'm saying? And so um until 18, once again, like I say, I don't say put your children out unless they have a plan. I don't never think to put your children out. But until 18, because once they get 18, they could begin to leave the house. They 18 and an adult now. So you can't really, but before they get 18, I don't care if it's 16, 17, you don't need to be hanging out with certain people. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about before, and if you tell me, well, I want to go to so and so house, okay. I don't know. That's something I'm gonna have to cross that bridge when I get there, because as of right now, I just don't know about even let my children go to nobody else's house. But if I do allow you to go to somebody else's house, whether it be my daughter or my son, especially my daughter, um, I need to go vet their parents and vet their house and vet what area it's in. If they stay in the hood, and I'm not trying to talk about nobody because I've been in the hood. I've been in the hood most of my life, so I'm not talking about it. I'm just getting a point. If I go to their so-called friend's house, and because most people, friends is a word that's really used loosely today, right? But that's not here or there. Children just gonna have that. The friend word, that's something that children can only learn from experience. We as people can only learn from experience. You got some adults who still don't understand what the word friend means. However, whatever. Um, for example, if I have children, I don't have any children right now. I want to be clear on that. I'm 34, don't have any children. Let's say, for instance, I get married next year, right? And my wife is 40 and I'm 34. However old she is, don't matter how old she is. We end up having a child. We staying in a nice neighborhood. We both doing good for ourselves, and we got something going on. My wife got a career. I'm doing my thing. And somehow maybe my daughter or son meet somebody because they friends gonna be in the neighborhood where I stay at. Because I won't never have my children staying in the hood or Section 8. God say the same. And as of right now, I don't have no children, and I don't plan to bring none until I'm able to be put. That's why, I mean, people may not agree with me on this, and it's just my opinion. And my mom and my dad hit me when they was 30 and 31. I don't think you should have children until you 30. Because the reason why I say that is because, like I said, it's just my opinion. But when you're 30, you understand life. You went through your 20s, because your 20s is really supposed to be your years of learning. You know what I'm saying? Learning what kind of man you want, learning what kind of woman you want. Your 20s is supposed to be your um backspace year where you can erase them. And because once you start getting in your 30, that weight don't come off as easy. Um, life, them bones start to get. When you get 30, life get real. By the time you 30 years old, you understand life. You understand the political. Well, I ain't gonna say that because some people in their 60s and still don't understand that. But I'm saying once you get in 30, you should understand politics. You're gonna understand the economy. You're gonna understand friends and foes. You're gonna understand co-workers. You're gonna understand life, right? You're gonna understand at 30, okay, I like this woman, but is she somebody that I want to date long term? I like these type of men, but is it somebody I want to date long term? So once you get in your 30s, you begin to understand life. And so that way, when God give you the blessing, because that's what it is, a blessing to reproduce another life, you have actually something to teach them. But a lot of these, that's another thing, and that's really what's bad in my community. A lot of these days in my community, especially the black community, a lot of these parents, especially mothers, is having these children at a young age, no father, and they learn it as the child. They learn it as they grow with the child. So it's like a learning process for everybody, and the child not really being taught anything because the mother really don't have nothing to teach them. She don't know about finances. She don't know about politics. She don't know about nothing. So she can't teach him nothing. All she do is put him in front of a TV screen or a computer or a phone all day and go to school. And that is dangerous right now because you will have a monster growing in your house. When I say a monster, I'm talking about somebody that you didn't create, a homosexual, a evil person, a serial killer, a mess. You have somebody in your room, in your house, under your roof, growing, and you will be raising them, feeding them, and keeping the roof over their head and clothe them, and don't even know who this person is because you out of touch with them because you don't have nothing to teach them. And so I feel like you shouldn't even have children until you're about 30. But like I say, that's off the subject because that's just my opinion. But picking your children is very important. Picking your children is very important. Going back to my example, if me and my wife stand in a nice neighborhood, she got a career, we got stuff going on, we live in a great, productive life, and it's rubbing off on our child, and he's being productive and he's being great. And say for instance, he want to play basketball, he go play basketball. And at his basketball camp, he meet um Lil Jadavian or Lil Tyrone or so whatever, you know what I'm saying. And they end up making a friendship and a relationship at the as they teammates. And he say, well, I want to go to his birthday this weekend. Well, first of all, I need to know who his parents is. I need to know who his parents is. I need to know where they stay. I need to know, like I say, especially with my daughter, because there's too much going on in the world today to just be letting your children just go run wild, taking their word for something. Oh, I'm going to Johnny's house. No, I need to know who Johnny's parents is. And this, because guess what? If they under 18, and I heard somebody say this, and I want to put this in as a little parenthesis. They said that I was talking to a dude, and he was telling me that he feel like no matter what happened, mass shoot, no matter what, anything happened to a child in his life, and he under 18, the parents should get charged too. And I don't really agree with that. Just thinking about how I was raised, because I was raised in a Christian home. I just ended up making bad decisions, hanging with the wrong crowd. But I'd have hated to see my people end up in situations because of the stupid stuff I did. But he do have a point, because guess what? If it was like that, I guarantee your parents would be more watching over. I guarantee your parents would think twice about letting their children go anywhere, hang with anybody. Parents would be like police officers, because they would know one thing: if he get in some trouble, I'm getting some trouble, right? But I don't really agree with that. But what I will say is this here: if they get in any situation before they're 18, guess who they gonna be calling? Guess who the police station gonna be calling? Bothering you at your job, bothering you in your bed, bothering you when you laid up naked with your wife, or doing whatever you want to do. Guess who they gonna be calling? They're going to be calling you. And so because of that, and because you brought them in this world, I don't care if they 16 or they on call and job. If they still staying under your house, or like I said, I ain't even gonna say staying in your house, because once they're 18, they can stay under my house, but I can't choose their friends no more. But whatever you do when you leave here, you say when you 16, you got a car and a job. Okay, well, guess what? We gonna have a curfew, number one, and you ain't gonna be bringing anybody to my house. But I'm saying, if you got a car and a job, it's gonna be ways in time where you can go places and I don't really have no recollection of it. I can't be with you at all time. But by the time you begin driving, first of all, only way you be 16 in my house with a car is if I didn't seen that you responsible enough for that. Because every 16-year-old don't deserve a car, right? So I want to put that out of the way too. But if you is deserving of a car because you just show responsibilities, you're a good child, good grade, do all the right stuff, you know what? You gonna have that. I'm gonna trust you enough to make the right decision. By the time you get 16, you should know, right? But you know, so until you 18, in my house, out my house, I'm picking your friends. And if I see your friend and you make a friend and I meet them and their parents and they don't check off all the boxes, I'm gonna tell you right there in front of them. I'm not gonna, and I'm gonna be polite. It's not about me being judgmental or none of that. But I'm gonna be polite and be like, well, I just, I mean, at school y'all can be friends, but ain't no you going spend no nights and if you go to a birthday party, I'm coming with you. And if you don't want me or your mama to come, you ain't going. And it's just that simple, man. It's just that simple, man. You have to pick your children, man. I mean, you have to pick your children friends, man. You have to, bro. You have to, because children don't always make the best decisions. Children go through wanting to be accepted. You never know what's going on with your children, man. If you not taking that time, you're not spending that extra time. And I'm talking about talking to them when they got out of school. Not just, hey, how was your day? What did you learn today? What is your teachers teaching you? What is your math teacher teaching you? What is your science teacher teaching? Are they teaching you about this? Are you teaching about that? And I need to know all these things. So that way I can begin to better understand you. Also, I need to be watching and spending time with you. I don't need to be in a situation where I pick you up from school, spend 20 minutes talking to you, go eat my food, go hop in the bed and watch NBA for the rest of the day. No, I need to be monitoring you. I'm not talking about hovering over you as you get older, but I'm saying, I need to be paying attention to what you looking at under you under my roof, and I'm gonna be paying the phone bill. I'm gonna be paying the light bill. I need to see what you on that Xbox doing. I need to see what you on that laptop doing. I need to see what you on that phone doing, because I'm not gonna allow no spirit or demon. I'm gonna always be praying for my children also. But I'm not gonna allow no spiritual demon to seep in on my child, right? Before and without me being able to notice it and be able to nip it in the bud before it get out of control, right? And so, the people that might hear this message and say to themselves, "I don't got time to pick my children." If you feel like that, well, good luck to you. God bless you, man. And I know men can't. You can't. I know a lot of women like say, "Well, you always say with the boy, you can't. I can't make no man stay around." When you right about that, but you gotta make better decisions. On who you gonna give yourself to unprotected and who you gonna reproduce with. I'm pro-life. I don't support abortion. So once a child here, the child is here, and you gotta do everything in your power for that child to be successful. You got 18 years to invest your time and everything, your love and everything into that child. And love your children. That's another thing I tell people. Love your children. I'm talking about, I know a lot of people, my love was they know I love them. I had a roof over their head and I clothed them and I did this. Well, you owe them to do that because they didn't ask to come here. Tell your children throughout the day as many times as possible how much you love them. Hug them. Let them know that they feel loved and accepted at home. Because see, a lot of children, they go join these other cliques, gangs, and these bad groups of people that's not good for them because they not feeling no love and acceptance at home. Another thing, children I done seen grow up. I done seen it, with me and my brother at times. I done seen it a lot of times where children, siblings, or treat their friend better than they can't get along with their sibling, but they get along with the cousin. They get along with the friend. That's another thing that needs to be nipped in the bud at a young age. If you can't get along with your sibling, you ain't gonna have no friend. Now, like I say, when you go to school for them, I think what 6 hours, I can't control what happened at the school because I'm not there. But when you get here, you ain't going to no friend house, you ain't going to no cousin house, and ain't none of them coming over here. You know why? Because you can't even get along with your sibling. That's gonna be your first friend. If your child have sibling, or if my child have sibling. But if they don't have sibling, you need to pick their friend for all of the things that I said in this video. And I'm bringing this video to a conclusion, to a close. But I just wanted to let you listen to this, and I want you to take this and just use it, and just analyze this video and think about what I'm saying is true. Think about you and when you was coming up and the thing that you used to do. You know, I got homegirls right now, and they got daughters. And I let them know, I say, don't forget now, you was what, 15, 16. They daughter not that old, but I got some friends who got daughters that's around 12 or 13. And I tell them, and they're a little bit more advanced than us, and this is a little bit more easier for them to do stuff. All they need is some money on Cash App. They could put the Cash App on the lift and get a lift to anywhere they want to go. So it's way easier for them to date than it was for us. And like I say, I played them game when I was young. I'm going to my partner house and I'm telling the girl, look, you come over here, you go to your cool friend house. That's what we used to call it. Go to your cool friend house. They got the cool parents. And the cool parents is the one that's the mom of the single parent, of course. She worked doubles. She always at work. And so the kids left to themselves. They could do what they want. And they house is the party house. We do whatever we want to do over there. And I tell some of my homegirl that I used to be playing them same little game. I say, don't forget what you used to do when you were 15 now. Don't forget you used to go sneak out the window. Don't forget you used to go to your auntie house, to your cousin house, to your homegirl house, and you know they parents weren't really no good parents, or they mama wasn't. I ain't gonna say no good mama. She was not saying not saying that their parent wasn't a good person, but they wasn't a good parent. And due to them not being a good parent, they had to work all these hours to provide, right? Because either the man left or whatever the situation was, but they always had they was left to themselves, right? Go to their house and we gonna either come get you or we gonna meet you over there. You know what I'm saying? So, I tell them that, man, don't forget what you used to do, right? And that's why you gotta pick your children friend, man. If your children friends ain't come up and ain't being raised like your children being raised, you need to not let them hang. If your children, if you get bad vibes over, cause see, we adults, we understand that thing I was speaking about earlier about energies and spirits. If that child come around you, cause first that's gonna always be my thing. Tell them they can come over here, and when the child come over there, I'm vetting the child, I'm watching the child, I'm peeping him out, peeping her out, and if she got some kind of spirit with her, that I don't want to rub off on my daughter or son, and I'm gonna let them know. Look, that's the last time you hanging with her. Now I can't control what y'all do on the schoolyard, but you not going to her house, and she not coming over here no more. And and don't get it twisted. It's gonna hurt your kids sometimes and make them mad. But what a lot of parents don't understand is, listen, this is not about me and you being friends. This is not about your children liking you. This is about their safety and the betterment of their future. Because see, if you allow them to make them bad decisions with bad friends and hang with bad crowd young because you don't want to say nothing, you don't want to be the you want to be the cool parent, it's gonna cost you in the long run. It's gonna cost you in the long run. I remember I had a family member, and my family member was married to a guy, and he head of his household. He take care of it. Well, they both work, but they've been together for a long time. And he had a family member that wanted to move in, and his family member had a 12-year-old daughter who happened to be pregnant. And now, and at this time, my family member had a daughter. I think her daughter was about 10 or 12. She was close in age with the little girl. And so I said, you're supposed to follow your husband's lead, and I'm not telling you that you shouldn't do that you should go against what your husband say. But as a man, I just don't understand how he would. But a lot of people just don't live in the real world. They tone deaf and they really don't live out of touch, and they think stuff won't happen to them. They think a lot of people live they don't live their lifestyle hypothetically. Like they think nothing can happen to them, right? And that's why this causes a lot of problem in the long run. But like I was saying, I wouldn't want no 12-year-old pregnant daughter Now, if I got a family member and they got pregnant, then that's their business and that's their household business. And if I can help, I'm going to help out. If I got to help you get a room. But you're not coming moving my house and you got no 12-year-old daughter that's pregnant and I got a 12-year-old daughter. If you got a son that's in and out of juvenile, he think he can be a young boy, and he the same age with my son. No, y'all can't come stay here. I help y'all get somewhere to stay. Off on my child. I don't want that kind of energy. My child, right? And so, and then some people may say, "Well, what about the spirit what about the spirit and the energy that they go around in school?" Well, guess what? I take that 6 hour a day. How much? Nine? What? How many? How long school is? What, from August to May? That's what, 9 months. I take that over every day in the house with me into the 18. I take that because I gotta send them to school. If let's not marry a teacher and get in a situation where I can homeschool them, which would be ideal. Which is I still probably want to let them go to school because I want them to have be sociable. You know what I'm saying, with the world. But I need to have a control over it. All that, well, her mama said, let me talk to her. Ain't no let ain't people be letting people go to keep a house. You don't even know who they is. People. I be to let my children go around somebody who might not like me. I'm just using it for hypothetical speaking, but that's I might be pushing it saying all that. But if it's possible, if you're in your hometown and you messing with somebody, and your children go to somebody else's house and they know you, or that might be your child that you might have had with a dude that you no longer with, and he go to somebody and he or she go to a friend house and they daddy don't like his bed. It's just all kinds of reasons why if your children gonna be going places, you need to be present or you need to be vetted the situation and know that it's a safe surrounding for your child. This is your child that did not ask to come here. You know, I was watching that situation last year when the young man fell off the roller coaster and died. And it was a very, 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 very sad and traumatic situation. But you know what I think? And this going somewhere else with it, right? Now this young man was on a trip with some of his friends or cousins. I think it was his friends though. And he was a young man. He was about 14, 15, but he was extremely large. He was like 300 some pounds. He was like 6'4". He was huge. And so all that day, he was getting refused ride because, you can't get on this ride. You too big. And, the last ride of the day, the place about to close, I guess the parent was like, well, he wasn't able to get on the ride today. We're going to let him force it on this one. And he ended up getting on the ride and died. Now, my thing is this. If his parents would have been there, especially his father would have been there, because, sometimes women, they make decisions, and that's why a father need always be around, in my opinion, because, see, women, they're very liberal and nurturers. They're nurturers, and they feel like it's always going to be okay, which is in some situations you just can't live like that. And men, is the structure that's gonna let you know when it's cool to be like it's gonna be okay and it's not, but it's not always gonna be okay, and that's how women tend to move in most situations. And so he was with his aunties or his friend, mom or whatever, and the last ride was his death. Now, if that would have been his parent, especially his father, lick son, you can't ride the rides, you're too big, no, and that would have been that. But because he with these people and they probably, I know they ain't do it out of no ill will. You know what I'm saying? I know they did it. I didn't know. I'm not saying they did it out of no ill will, but it cost somebody their life, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because of a bad adult decision. Sometimes when a child, I don't care how big they is, they still got a child mind, right? And so an adult got to come in and make the adult decision. And that goes all the way back to what I'm saying about picking your friend. A lot of times your friends won't understand because kids and a lot of women have a two-dimensional outlook on life, whereas men have a 3D dimensional outlook. A real man anyway. And I could see a 14-year-old boy right now. I can look at a 14-year-old boy right now and say, all right, I know where he's going to be in 4 years. I know where he's going to be when he turn 18. I could see a little girl right now at 12 or 13 and say, okay, she gonna be fat or she not gonna be fat. I could tell because why? I was that age before. I know what the signs, and like I say, today it's more blatant. If it's summertime, and for example, I'm gonna use this for example. It's summertime, and I see some of these little girls, they 14, 15, you have them, and these people have these children in a store like this. All the perverted men in the world. Men sneaking, probably taking, you never know what these freaks in this day and age doing. And these little girls will be 12 or 13, and they will have some booty shorts on. What I mean by booty shorts, they booty won't be out, but it'll be covering, it'll be right under the cup, right? So say for instance, I got a daughter and she have a friend that come over to the house and she got them shorts on. I'm gonna say something about it for one. I'm gonna call her parent. I'm gonna talk to her mama or daddy, and I'm gonna say, look, your daughter welcome in my house anytime. But when she come here, please make sure she have on some. If she whatever she have on, make sure it at least reach her knees or close to it. I ain't saying she gotta walk around with those capris on, but it needs to at least pass or come up. It needs to at least be almost to her knee. If she gonna wear some shorts in summertime, I understand it's hot. Now if she in a bathing suit, I understand that. But just walking around with some shorts that cuff under your butt and you're not even 18 years old, no ma'am. So you're not gonna be around my daughter with that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask your parent, look, don't send her over here like that no more. And if it happen again, I'm not. And one day, and if I ever go, and if I do it, and then if I see that, I'm already have some red flags up. So now I'm not gonna want to let my daughter go to your house because if you letting your daughter walk around like that at somebody else's house, I can imagine what she's doing at your house, and I don't need none of that rubbing off on my children. So you got to be watching and be very, very careful for those things, right? If young men and young women, you see that they talk back to their parents, I don't want my children around them because I don't want that to rub off on my children. They come talk back to me, and now they ain't got no teeth in their mouth. And so that's what I'm saying, man. You have to pick your children friends. And by the time they're 18, when you no longer have control over doing that, they beating got the pitch on who is for them and who not. You need to be teaching them. Don't just, and that's another thing I'm a big component of. Don't just, because I always was a why person. You want to explain to people why. Show them the signs, and something they just not going to understand and be able to grip because life they haven't lived life yet, and by you being an adult, you live life. So something they just not gonna be able to understand and put their mind around, but some things you is gonna be able to show them. You see how he always compete with you. You see how she always compete with you. That's not what friends do. So it's gonna be small things that you're gonna be able to show them, and in some situations they gonna be able to pick up on it and be like, okay, yeah, mama, that's not my friend. Yeah, daddy, that's not my friend. And then something just gonna have to happen for them to learn later on in life. Okay, that's why daddy said that. That's why mama didn't want to. That's why, right? And so I'm gonna bring this video to a close. And this is a subject that I can go on and on about, so I might make a part two. But this is and go check that movie Class Act out with Keaton Playing. And I think you should watch that movie so you can kind of get an emphasis on what I was saying in the beginning when I was breaking that down and analyzing that. But yeah, man. You know, you need to pick your children's friend. It's very important for the first 18 years that you legally over them for you to pick the people that they hang with. Because if not, it can be detrimental to you and their life in the long run. Y'all have a blessed one, and I thank y'all for taking time to listen to me. God bless.